study of almost 24,000 employees at a major Fortune 100 company found that 61% of them chose the wrong health plan for their needs because they didn't do the homework or do the math on those benefits offerings. And about 1 in 3 people are able to correctly identify the 3 common health insurance terms like premiums, copays, and deductibles, which is really surprising. So, we're evangelists about helping people understand their benefits, make the right choices, and get the most out of those benefits.
Welcome to the Workology podcast, a podcast for the disruptive workplace leader. Join host Jessica Miller-Merrill, founder of Workology.com, as she sits down and gets to the bottom of trends, tools, and case studies for the business leader, HR, and recruiting professional who is tired of the status quo. Now here's Jessica with this episode of Workology.
It's benefit selection season, or it's coming. I hate to break it to you. And you might be thinking about how you're going to educate and communicate about employee benefits selections, and more importantly, talking to their dependents and spouses about health and benefit programs focused on driving engagement, education, and ultimately adoption. That selection that should be happening with your existing benefits programs. I have found that employees just don't know about things like HSAs, 401k programs, and other benefit plans and programs. My guest today is going to shed some light on these things and how to best educate and engage and talk to employees about your benefit program offerings. Welcome to the Workology podcast. It's sponsored by HR Benchmark Survey. Share your insights at hrbenchmarksurvey.com. Now, before I introduce our guests, I want to hear from you. You can shoot me a text to the number 512-548-3005. Text the word podcast to 512-548-3005. You can ask me questions, leave comments, and make suggestions for future guests. So back to our guest. Today, I am joined by Chad Wilkins, Executive Vice President of Webster Bank and President of HSA Bank, where he is responsible for leading the organization and its people towards sustainable growth well into the future. Chad joined HSA Bank in 2014, bringing with him more than 25 years of experience in the banking and health insurance industries. Chad has a consistent history of achievement in sales leadership, relationship management, product management, PNL leadership, and employee engagement throughout his role as president of the Wilkins Group, which is his own consulting company specializing in healthcare and financial services, also as Chief Executive Officer of Optum Health Financial Services and Senior Vice President of Commercial Large Markets at U.S. Bank. Chad's background of managing multi-million-dollar PNLs and aggressive growth targets to deliver revenue and profit improvement, his proven ability to create, retain, and lead teams in a high-paced, high-stress environment, and his knowledge of financial services and healthcare financial systems and technology position him as a well-rounded business leader equipped to lead HSA Bank, its members, and its employees into the next generation of financial healthcare. Chad, welcome back to the Workology podcast.
All right, thank you. Nice to be here this morning. Appreciate you inviting me today.
Absolutely. And welcome back, really. I feel like we've been doing this. We're old friends for sure. So it's good to have you back.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great to be back. So thanks. Thanks again.
For those who haven't listened to our previous podcast interviews, can you talk to us about HSA Bank?
Yes, of course. So HSA Bank is a division of Webster Bank, and we provide HSAs, flexible spending accounts, health reimbursement arrangements, and commuter benefits. We have about 3 million members, over 35,000 employer groups, and we hold around $11 billion in savings on behalf of our HSA customers. Our vision is to help everyone save for a healthy future by empowering people to feel more confident and engaged in their health and wealth. And in doing that, we have about 20 years of experience. We were one of the first to enter the HSA industry more than 20 years ago, and we've been a leader in the space ever since. And, the reason why is because you not only need to have great products and services in this space and flawless execution, but we are laser focused on what we feel is the biggest challenge in the industry, and That's the lack of a broad understanding of benefits and HSAs and how to optimize your choices around those. And it's commonly understood that most people, or a high percentage of people, don't understand their benefits very well. And a couple examples: we do a survey every year, and there's a lot of information out there. A study of almost 24,000 employees at a major Fortune 100 company found that 61% of them chose the wrong health plan for their needs because they didn't do the homework or do the math on those benefits offerings. And about 1 in 3 people are able to correctly identify the 3 common health insurance terms like premiums, copays, and deductibles, which is really surprising. So, we're evangelists about helping people understand their benefits, make the right choices, and get the most out of those benefits.
Well, thank you for that. And I think that a lot of HR people can totally relate, because the tsunami of questions that we get as HR leaders from employees and their family members about their health plans and different benefits programs is overwhelming. But that's just the people who come and ask us the questions, not the people who just make the choice for their benefits plan and don't really seek out information to make the best decision.
Yeah, there it is. That's the challenge, right? It's not the people who are engaged and leveraging all the information and tools. It's those that aren't. And how do you get after them and engage them and activate them?
Let's talk about maybe some different plans. Maybe for anyone who isn't already familiar, can you walk us through what consumer-directed healthcare plans are, and how is an HSA different from a 401k?
Absolutely. CDHPs, or consumer-driven health plans, come in various forms, but basically they're high deductible health plans, and also referred to as HDHPs, that allow the opportunity to use a tax-advantaged health account, such as a health savings account, with them. They typically have a little bit higher deductibles but lower premiums, and that gap is actually narrowing over the years. But when you enroll in an HDHP, you're automatically eligible to open up an HSA. And HSA accounts are the best tax advantage account available, bar none. They're even greater than 401ks because of their triple tax advantage, where every dollar that goes in pre-tax. The dollars grow tax-free, and when you use the funds and for medical expenses, they come out tax-free. So as long as you're using them for qualified medical expenses. So it's a great savings vehicle for healthcare. And it's also mistaken that people think they lose when they leave their employer, leave the health plan, they lose the funds, but that's not the case with HSAs. If you change jobs or retire, leave your health plan, the money, the HSA, and the money in the HSA account go with you wherever you go. And this is really important. This savings aspect of an HSA is really important because of some of the things we just talked about. We do a health wealth index survey every year, and in 2022, results showed that about 30% of the respondents weren't sure if they could afford healthcare costs in the near term or in retirement, and that about a little more than half of respondents indicated that they rarely or never save for future medical expenses. So, HDHPs are a great option for individuals who want an active role in managing their health and wealth. And as our survey has shown, that individuals with high deductible health plans, they're the most engaged in planning for their medical expenses, and that's been consistent for about the last 5 years. And I'll mention one other stat that we've surveyed the industry, and there's a lot of different reports that show that a couple retiring today will need about over $650,000 for health care in retirement, which can equate to about 71% of their Social Security benefits for medical expenses. So it's really important that individuals look at saving for health care as they retire. And also, it offers a short-term savings as well. So to sum it up, 401ks are specifically designed for retirement savings, while HSAs are intended for medical savings and offer opportunities to save both now and in retirement. But using them in tandem is probably the best way to maximize your savings for retirement.
Thank you for sharing. I feel like, especially since I'm thinking about all the questions that HR leaders are getting, that I'm getting, that you're getting about the difference between an HSA and a 401k plan, I want to snip this part of the audio, put it out to the masses, to TikTok and Reels and other places, so that HR leaders can share it with their employees while they're in the process? Because sometimes they just don't think to ask HR or the benefits team these kinds of questions.
Yeah, I think that's great. As a matter of fact, we've seen some really great TikTok videos of Gen Zs, Gen X. They're getting out there and finding other ways to learn more about HSAs and 401ks. Getting engagement in any way possible to activate individuals to take action is really key.
So HSA has begun the process of rolling out an enhanced employer administration site. Can you talk to us more about the new user experience for employers?
Yes, I appreciate you asking about that. We are very excited about what we're doing here. And this is, when you change your customer experience, it's not about replacing something that was inadequate. It's about, us advancing the things we're talking about, right? So being able to provide an experience where we can be more proactive in identifying opportunities for our customers, whether it be the employer customer or the individual, so where they can take action, and then giving them the tools, resource, direction that they need in order to actually take action and get the most value out of the products and services that we offer. So we're developing a best-in-class experience. We think it's a leader in the industry because we monitor those things pretty closely. It helps engage our customers' employees, gives them access to tools, as I said, and the resources they need to be more engaged. Things like managing healthcare and investment decisions and all of that are some of the toughest things that folks have to do and think through, as we talked about to this point. And so our goal is to make sure that this portal, and it extends across our entire experience, helps guide employers and their employees through these decisions. And you had mentioned that a lot of folks are frustrated, at employers, benefits managers, because they get inundated with all of these questions from employees. So we're actually offering up to the employer, we're doing kind of plan comparison reporting online, where you can go in and it'll give you, this is how you compare to others in your industry or across the HSA space in terms of enrollments, contribution rates, and engagement. And it'll highlight areas where you have opportunities and then provide you with the action that they can take in order to execute on these opportunities and what they should expect in terms of outcomes or results. So it's been great in that we used to do that a lot through just through direct contact of our account execs and so on, but now this allows us to deploy this in a more proactive way across our entire employer, 35,000 employers, and give them the tools right at their fingertips and the action. We'll still help them through it, but it makes it available 24/7 whenever they need it.
I love that. And I feel like the more information, the more data that we have compared to benchmarks, the better that we can kind of temperature gauge where we are in terms of adoption or engagement. And that should include benefits plans and programs like HSA has.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've had great feedback from our customers on the look and the feel and the ease of use.
Awesome. Well, your health plan comparison calculator helps people determine if an HSA is a good fit for their healthcare plan, and this is available on the HSA Bank website. I wanted to ask you, how does this support decision-making for individuals?
Yeah, this is one of the tools we're talking about, right? When we offer to our employers, it's just one of many, where we'll say, you have an opportunity to create more engagement and deeper penetration of an HSA into your benefits offering, right? Because a lot of times, about 30% of the time, given a choice between multiple health plans, people will make the wrong choice. And when they do, it can cost them, not just hundreds of dollars, but it can cost thousands of dollars in additional premiums or healthcare costs or lack of tax savings. So, this health plan calculator, it gives employees the opportunity to provide a little bit of information on, what their expected healthcare costs are, their income, what the premium is, and compare all the plans that they have as options, and then tells them specifically how much we think that plan will cost, compares in contrast, and gives you the options. Pick the one that makes the most sense for you. And it's not just the calculator, but we also have contribution calculators, which help you understand how much you can save in your account and how that'll accumulate for retirement. So similar to what you use on 401k savings calculators. And then we have partners that if you really want to go in depth, or an employer really wants to go in depth, we have partners that have more in-depth decision support tools like My Health Math, where you're actually guided through the process of doing the math on your choices, and we're making recommendations as to the best plan for you, and again, how much we think you could save if you select that plan. And on average, employees who go through this process with My Health Math, for instance, we're saving them $1,300 a year when they go through the process and elect a different plan.
Wow, that's really impressive. I do really feel like knowledge is power, and giving people access to this information digitally, virtually, for themselves, for their families to be able to work through it is only going to help sign up rates, engagement, and just use of these benefits that are available for employees through us as employers.
Yes, exactly. And I think the challenge is not only providing the tools and resources, but we're still having a lot of challenge getting to, if you don't mandate a program like that or have incentives and encouragement to participate, we're having trouble getting to that population that isn't engaged, right? So the challenge is engaging that population. Actually take the time and use the tool, or make it a active enrollment, so where you're forcing people to go through the exercise.
Let's take a reset, shall we? This is Jess Miller-Merrill, and you are listening to the Workology podcast sponsored by HR Benchmark Survey. Share your HR insights at hrbenchmarksurvey.com. Today, I'm talking with Chad Wilkins. He's the Executive Vice President of Webster Bank and President of HSA Bank. Before we get back to the podcast, I want to hear from you. Text the word podcast to 512-548-3005. Ask me questions, leave comments, and make suggestions for future guests. This is my community text number, and I want to hear from you.
Benchmarking and data is crucial to HR leaders. Workology's HR Benchmark Survey is an always-on survey, and just by taking the survey at hrbenchmarksurvey.com, you're signing up to get comprehensive quarterly results, white papers, and other research from the survey right to your inbox. It takes 10 minutes or less to complete. Visit hrbenchmarksurvey.com.
Employers have a lot of different challenges, but especially with the hybrid workforce. It's not just all in the office. It's not just all remote. It's a mix of a little bit of everything. And I feel like catering to those working from home and those in the office is a challenge, especially for parents of young children. How does digital tools for financial help work for employees, not necessarily just parents of young children, but all employees?
Yeah, I think what's happened over the last few years with more folks working from home or more flexible kind of work from home and office arrangements has forced us to get a lot better with all of our digital tools and resources, and to be able to deliver these things both virtually and or in person. Because obviously when the pandemic hit, everything went virtual, right? And we had to scramble to make sure that we could have large audiences participating in virtual fairs and things like that. Getting the tools and resources up and running. And it took a little bit of time, but what we found by doing that we could actually reach and engage a greater population because of the things you mentioned. You've got people at home and they're taking care of their kids, and spouses could now participate in these virtual meetings, whereas before, when you have them on site, it's a lot more difficult to do that sort of thing. So that's one thing that has improved. And as we've opened back up again, now we're doing it's basically a hybrid approach to these fairs and seminars and webinars and that type of thing. So because different generations may want to engage in these opportunities in different ways. Baby boomers probably more, as we survey, are more apt to want to come in and see things in person, and the younger generations tend to be a lot more comfortable with these virtual type of sessions. And then the other is the tools. I think it's important to make sure that we're starting very early so that you get the information out well ahead of the enrollment period, and stay engaged with employees all year round, right? As opportunities arise, we have great campaigns that we've built up. That we have this campaign called the 30, 60, 90 campaign. It starts 30 days after you enroll, and it gives you guidance on, now you've opened an account, let's make contributions. Now let's make sure that you name beneficiaries and those types of things, and then start thinking about saving for longer term, cover your deductibles, save for retirement, giving them guidance along the way. And there should be a 30, 60, 90 on the front end of before enrollment, where you're preparing people for that same type of thing and offering the kind of tools that we've talked about.
Now, we'll link to this in the show notes, but you recently released the 2022 HSA Bank Health and Wealth Index, which highlights some interesting trends. Can you talk a little bit about the report and what's the most important factor for employers?
Yeah, we've been doing this for many years now, and we love it because it helps tell us where we have opportunities and how perhaps we're doing in terms of pursuing those opportunities. I've hit a lot of that throughout the discussion today, when we talk about people understanding saving for retirement, understanding their health and benefits, knowing what they're going to need for retirement and healthcare. All those types of things are findings that I referenced that came out of this. But some of the other interesting things that we've noticed were that there's not a lot of difference in generations in terms of engagement in health and wealth, right? It's pretty close. It's only a difference of about 2.8 points from the most engaged to the least engaged. So that was interesting. And then as we've had kind of unprecedented times over the last few years, a lot of stresses and challenges in the world, the survey found that younger Americans are pursuing and obtaining mental health care support significantly more than older generations. The stats are that about 81% of baby boomers and 64% of Generation X indicate that they have never obtained mental health care, compared to 46% of millennials and 43% of Gen Z. So, probably more receptive, and also maybe an indication of some of the stresses that folks experience over the last couple of years. Some other findings include the factors that are contributing to the Great Resignation for Gen Z, that more than half the Gen Z respondents indicate that they would change employers to receive better health care benefits. And, what's interesting is that, it goes back to what we talked about. It's great to be able to offer benefits to your employees, and employers focus on that. But if you don't get people engaged, they don't know about them, and they don't know how to take the best advantage of it. It's the same as almost not offering it to them. And if somebody else is doing that better than you, it can impact your ability to retain talent.
Chad, I wanted to ask you before we go, what is the most important thing for employers to consider when planning educational programs for employee benefits?
Great question. And I think we've touched on this as we've gone along, but, if I were to say the most important things to consider are going to be accessibility, understanding, and engagement, right? So making sure that folks can get to the things they need to help make decisions, that they understand it, and that you're driving engagement. Because again, there's the folks that aren't engaged, just naturally engaged, that are the most important to reach out and activate, and that's where the opportunity is. Because as I said before, it's so important that, the Pew Research Center did a survey, and roughly half of those surveyed cited benefits as either a major reason or a minor reason as to why they quit their job in 2021. So, and I mentioned that the Gen Z were very vocal about benefits, and that would be a reason for either changing jobs or, going to another employer. So it's really important to make sure that you have the resources and the tools, and not only the great benefits, but the resources and tools to be able to make sure people understand them, and then that you are finding unique and innovative ways to communicate and activate individuals. And that's why we built out we're building out our new employer and employee websites so that we can proactively, when we can engage individuals, when and where they're making decisions, give them an opportunity to leverage a tool or resource so that they can make the right decision, and then showing them what the outcomes could be if they make those decisions. So we'll keep on working with our employers to do that, encouraging them to do it. I think there's all kinds of things you can do when we look at our other products and services that we offer, like FSA, HRAs, LSAs, which are lifestyle spending accounts, which have become more popular these days, making sure people know that those are available and they're out there and how they can benefit from them. And doing it early, doing it often, and doing it year-round as well is critical.
Well, thank you so much, Chad, for your time and just sharing your knowledge. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, yes, it is so important for HR leaders to really think about education and communication of their benefits plans and programs, because we have people in the workplace who are wanting this information in different ways, which makes HR really a PR and communications department when it comes to training and information about benefits plans. So I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us so much.
My pleasure, Jessica. It's been a pleasure as always, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely. Total rewards is such an important factor in our employer branding, employee value proposition, and the ability to attract and also retain talent. What we can offer to our employees around financial health is crucial to being competitive in our current talent marketplace. I appreciate Chad taking the time to talk with us and to share his insights, expertise, and experience with us today. Benefits education is so important, and I think that Chad really touched on the importance of creating a very well thought out plan for communication and education for employees, dependents, and spouses. Thank you again, Chad, for sharing your expertise with us. I also want to thank you for joining the Workology podcast, and I want to hear from you. You can text podcast to 512-548-3005, ask me questions, leave comments, and make suggestions for future guests. This podcast is the Workology podcast, and it's sponsored by HR Benchmark Survey. Share your insights at hrbenchmarksurvey.com. This podcast is for the disruptive workplace leader who is tired of the status quo. My name is Jessica Miller-Merrill. Until next time, visit Workology.com to listen to all our previous Workology podcast episodes.